Sydney once had the largest tram network in Australia and one of the largest in the world. Unfortunately, these vital lines were all withdrawn and replaced by buses in the 50s and 60s, with the tram network today consisting of only 3 lines, soon to be 4. That's not to say that these lines have not been a success, they clearly have been in a number of aspects. Patronage on the L1 is roughly 75% of what it was in 2019, with service expansion likely to see further increases. Patronage on L2 and L3 are both at around 1.5 million trips per month as of February 2024. Altogether, despite having only 3 lines and 42 stops, Sydney's current tram network moves more people than any system in the USA bar San Diego. Looking beyond just patronage, too, the current system has been a success, with areas like George Street revitalised. It is remarkable to compare the former 4-lane monstrosity that was George Street to the pedestrian paradise it is today. So where else could trams be implemented? The L3 line currently terminates at an impressive cross-platform bus interchange at Juniors Kingsford. The advantage of this location is that with relative ease, the tram right-of-way could be extended down the median of Anzac Parade to La Perouse, a distance of about 8 kilometres, without needing to buy private property. Trees and parking would have to be removed, but this is a minor inconvenience in building such transformative projects. The median is up to 30 metres wide, allowing for shared tram-bus lanes and possibly also a cycleway, alongside new trees to provide shade. The wide median also allows for side platforms without disrupting road space. The line could also have relatively high speeds, as the road has very gentle curves. Stops could include Daceyville, North Maroubra at Snape Street, Maroubra, Beauchamp Road, Malabar, Chifley, Little Bay and La Perouse. The downsides of this extension would be the long journey times, possibly up to an hour to get to Circular Quay. However, if a future metro interchange was included at Moore Park or UNSW, likely given the recommendations of the Metro Review, these could be cut down. It would also require a new depot and more trams, but this could be accommodated with relative ease. The cost for this extension would likely sit between $1 and $3 billion. This project actually stands a chance of being built, with a 2018 infrastructure plan proposing it for construction sometime after 2028. Parramatta Road today is an urbanist's nightmare. Being a textbook strode, shops are struggling to stay afloat, and thus most of the corridor feels dilapidated and abandoned. Running trams on this road between Central and Burwood, a distance of roughly 11 kilometres, could allow for rejuvenation of the area, promoting active transport with new cycleways additionally. The line would serve Broadway, UTS, the University of Sydney, RPA Hospital, Leichhardt and Haberfield, with a number of stops possible. It could also serve the future hub of Burwood North. A balloon loop could be provided at Railway Square and Burwood to facilitate quick turnarounds with limited space, and passengers could change to either the City Circle or Metro to continue their journey north into the city. A stop at Taverners Hill would allow interchange between the L1 and this line. There is limited line-side space for a depot, however a connection to L1 at Taverners Hill could be constructed, with trams running to a depot in Rozelle or White Bay for storage. The line would likely cost in the region of between $2 and $5 billion. Other than a few loose proposals from the City of Sydney and Inner West councils, this line has not received any real mention in public reports. The 500X bus is one of the busiest in Sydney, with incredibly frequent bendy buses running all week. Pair this with the private traffic on Victoria Road, and one can see how a tram here makes sense. Ideally, this line would extend all the way from the city to West Ryde, roughly 17 kilometres, to allow interchange with further transport at either end. To access the city, a connection could be made with the L1 at Rozelle Bay via an elevated section above Rozelle Interchange to utilise the Glebe Tunnel before branching off again at Wentworth Park to run on a new alignment, potentially over the Pyrmont Bridge, into the Wynyard area, avoiding the loop around Pyrmont. Interchanges could be provided at the Bays and Pyrmont metro stations. Sufficient road space exists to accommodate the trams, especially where bus lanes exist already. Stops could include Wynyard, Darling Harbour, Pyrmont Station, existing stops at Wentworth Park, Glebe and Jubilee Park, then the Bays Station, Iron Cove Bridge, Drummoyne North and South, Huntley's Point with a possible connection to the ferry wharf, Punt Road, Gladesville, North Putney, Top Ryde and West Ryde. A balloon loop could be integrated into the bus station at West Ryde, and possibly even at Carrington Street in Wynyard. A depot could be constructed in the White Bay area via a spur on Robert Street, where there is much space available. This line would rejuvenate Victoria Road, which is going the same way as Parramatta Road, but would cost somewhere in the region of $4 to $5 billion. The Northwest Transitway was an early experiment into BRT in Sydney. It stretches from Parramatta and Blacktown to Rouse Hill. However, I'm only proposing the Parramatta branch. That's about 19 kilometres. The advantage of these routes is that they already have a right-of-way that can be upgraded to tram standard, and already have wide enough stop spacing. Interchanges could be made at Parramatta Station, Westmead Station, and Bella Vista, Kellyville and Rouse Hill stations on the Metro. There are 20 stops on this section, and I believe upgrading the T-Ways will promote growth in these areas, something the T-Ways were originally attempting to do with limited success. The fact that special bus-only roads already exist and are grade separated in a lot of places means retrofitting trams could be fairly straightforward, possibly costing under $1 billion. A road surface could be maintained to allow other bus routes to continue using the T-Way. A depot could be constructed in Rouse Hill where space is available. The only other and first major transitway in Sydney is the Liverpool to Parramatta T-Way, travelling via Bonnyrigg for 31 kilometres with 35 stops. The advantages of upgrading this route are much the same as the Northwest T-Way, with upgrading the line again likely to cost under $1 billion. A depot could be constructed near Prospect, where space is available, and the tram service could replace the busy T80 route while still allowing other local buses to use the infrastructure. The 333 Bondi Link is the busiest bus route in Australia, with intense service on a fully bendy bus fleet. Despite this, buses are still regularly overcrowded, the perfect place for a new tramway. A 333 tramway has been previously promoted by Waverley Council, however not progressed by state government. The route would provide a new level of service for those entering the city on Oxford Street and would increase capacity between Bondi Junction and Bondi Beach, both desperately needed improvements. The route would have fewer stops than the current bus service. Circular Quay, Martin Place, Museum, Darlinghurst, St Vincent's Hospital, Paddington, Centennial Park, Bondi Junction, Waverley Park, Bondi, Bondi Beach and North Bondi, and would run along an upgraded Elizabeth Street in the CBD, with interchanges at Circular Quay, Martin Place, Museum and Bondi Junction. A connection could be made to the L2, L3 lines at Circular Quay, and a new Bondi Junction tram stop could be built on Oxford Street Mall or potentially underground to allow better interchange with the existing bus train station. Space exists at the current 333 terminus at North Bondi for a tram turnback facility. The 10-kilometre line would be expensive at between $3 and $5 billion, and a depot could be constructed underneath Centennial Park to preserve recreational space. The City of Sydney Council has been lobbying the state government for a Green Square and Zetland tramway for some time now, and its development seems likely in the future. It would likely take the form of an upgraded 304 bus route, using the aforementioned Oxford Street tram until Crown Street, before running south to Baptist Street, Burke Street and Gadigal Avenue. It would make sense to connect to Green Square Station too. Stops could include Green Square Station, Zetland, Burke Street, Cleveland Street, Surrey Hills with a connection to L2, L3, Albion Street, and then it joins Oxford Street. A track connection could be made to L2, L3 at Surrey Hills, and a depot potentially within Moore Park, given the whole situation with that at the moment. The 5-kilometre section between Oxford Street and Green Square would cost probably around $2 billion. These routes, I feel, would provide fantastic and much needed additional capacity and speed, rejuvenating areas and promoting higher density housing. These lines will enable Sydney to grow its modern tramway success story. Altogether, these tram lines would increase Sydney's network length from 25 kilometres and 42 stations to a staggering 147 kilometres with up to 175 stops, thrusting Sydney back into the global tramway spotlight. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any additional local knowledge and you'd like to share it, or if you think I've made a grave mistake somewhere, please do let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.